Okay, so good day class. So for week 2 of our course, we're going to discuss about project structures and context. So let's read the key concept. So characterizing projects. So it is quite easy to see that not all projects are the same. So this is what I've been telling you, class, for those who under me in design and on my other subjects as well, that not all projects are the same. Okay? So building a house is different than building a bridge, and both are different than developing software or conducting a biotech research project. So furthermore, if projects differ in their inherent nature, then it should follow manage should also vary. Okay? So it would be you manage class building a house would be quite different when you're already doing a multi-story building. Okay? Though both are infrastructure projects or construction projects, they differ in scope. Okay, so although attempts have been made to develop a classification scheme for projects, there is not yet a universally accepted model. So this week, we'll examine some of the possibilities and consider the way project structures and project managers have adapted to the increasing complexity of the global business environment. So, each of the project classification structures we explore addresses the impact of uncertainty on the methods, tools, and choices available to project managers for adapting to the unique needs of each project. So, as you will study the materials for this week, uh, reflect on projects with which you are familiar and classify them using each of these approaches. So, critically analyze what combination of approaches provide the most insight for you in addressing the unique challenges in your organization. So, let's go to the project types and structures. So, each project has a goal resulting in a deliverable of a product or service. Projects attempt to solve problems and address opportunities. So, when you're constructing a building, of course, you're going to solve problems and you're going to open opportunities as well. So, while the solution path for some problems is clear, unclear. So, Wysocki in 2013 used these two dimensions of goal and solution clarity to create a four-quadrant typology of projects. The goal may be clear or not clear, and the solution may be clear or not clear. So, when both the goal and the solution path are clear, we have what is today referred to as project management. Then such projects are what you call well-defined projects. So examples include construction of buildings, bridges, and setting processes. So it's well-defined class. When you do construction projects, it's well-defined because you have an idea when to start and when the project will end. You have an idea what type of materials that you're going to use and how much manpower that you're going to need for the project. So in projects that okay, so I read that again. So in projects such as these, the requirements and criteria for success are defined. So I think the common success requirements is that you finish the project on time, on cost, on quality, and right now, because we are experiencing some uh, uh, problems related to sustainability. Of course, sustainability development objectives will be integrated now. Then the uncertainty associated with such projects is lowered in those projects where either the goal or the solution is unclear. Okay? So there are project types class that wherein the goal or the solution is unclear. However, in our industry, in the construction industry, it's mostly defined, especially the time of completion, how much manpower you're going to need, how much materials, etc. So when the projects are unclear, I think this could mean that there's a new technology dimension associated. So if you're going to For example, if you're going to build a building underwater, and then the scope will be big, for example, you're going to place an entire stadium, of course, it would be unclear. That's a new technology. For example, in your airport system, you're going to integrate a new type of uh, technology that would allow the um, sortation of luggages and the people uh, to be more should I think the exact term would be more defined or more harmoniously. Okay? A type example, you're going to implement a new IT system which could identify luggages and then sort it out. Okay? So if you're going to use a new automation system that has not been tested, then you're the first to implement such system, for example, in your airport, then there are bound to be some problems which might occur. Okay? So what I mean to say is that if you're going to use untested technology, of course, the goal or the solution would be unclear at the end. So to demonstrate how different types of projects are managed in different ways, Shenhar in 2001 focused on technical and engineering-based projects that typically result in a new product, process, or service for the conceptual model of project types. So the framework he proposed classifies projects into four levels of technological uncertainty and three levels of system complexity. So the article provides additional descriptions of projects included in each of these dimensions. So table 1 includes a helpful summary of Shenar's framework with definitions and examples, and I'm going to upload the resources also, class, so please read them. Then the technological uncertainty dimension includes is the type A, which is a low technological uncertainty dimension. So you're implementing familiar technologies using technologies also that are mature. So if you're just doing a small scale project such as a residential building or a fence or waiting shed, of course, the materials and the processes and technologies, it's already mature, so a lot of things are will already be known. Okay, then type B, we have the medium technological uncertainty projects, which are common in industrial projects relying on maturing limited use of new technology. Then we have type C, which are high technological uncertainty projects involving the first use of new but existing technologies. Then we have the type D, or the super high technological uncertainty projects requiring the development of new technologies that do not exist at the time of project initiation. Okay? So if you're going to build something that's quite novel, for example, you're doing a building um, that changes in direction every day, then there's a lot of example, the mechanical components are not yet invented during the inception of it, and then you have to work with your engineers in order to develop. Then that's a type D, or super high technological uncertainty project. So there's a lot of risks involved. But what if if you understand, class, what you call this, if you understand, like, class, the nature of risk is that of the coin of risk is what you call opportunity. Okay? If you're able to solve it, then you'll be able to create something that is quite novel and new. Okay? So in project management tasks, it's important for you to determine the technological uncertainty of what you are doing, right? The project that you're doing. Then, complexity dimension focuses on the design and managerial implications of system scope. We have a scope 1, an assembly project building a collection of modules combined into a single unit. Going to relate that into housing, if you're going to separate a house or build in separate modules, then combine it as a single unit also. So it's a scope 1. Or scope 2, a system building a collection of interaction elements functioning together within a single project. Then scope 3, an array project or program building a dispersed collection of systems that function together to achieve a common purpose. Then, the qualitative findings of 26 projects distributed across these dimensions provide detailed narratives describing actual projects and the management tools and practices used in different projects at different levels of uncertainty. Mentions to Shenhar's complexity and system classification to investigate the relationship among project managers, personality, and project type and project success. So there's two additional dimensions which are novelty, breakthrough, platform, or derivative, and pace, which is regular, fast, competitive, time critical, and bits. So we return to this article in subsequent weeks where our focus is critically analyzing characteristics of project success or failure. So for a purpose this week, it is sufficient for you to consider the additional dimensions of pace and novelty as you analyze how projects are structured. So Besner and 12 reinforced the notion that there is general recognition that project management is practiced in different contexts and expanded the focus on project types to investigate empirically how project practices project type. So in contrast to Shenhar's qualitative approach, Bestner and Hobbes' description of practice based on a quantitative approach. So when you say qualitative approach class, you're looking into the epistemology, the worldview, and it's more on perception and words. You're looking at a quantitative approach. You're looking okay, numbers to support uh, your decisions and the data also. Okay, so from a survey of 2,339 project practitioners, the authors identified 108 practices, tools, and techniques. So all 108 are listed and classified in Appendix A and B. So page 44 to 46 and are worthy of careful review. So Bestner wanted to compare project practices of different industries. So the authors classified four types of projects: business and financial services, engineering and construction, IT and telecom, and software and development. So you're going to require different approach in project management class when you look into business and finance. Engineering and construction also requires a different approach, as well as IT and telecom and software development. So Bestner and Hobbes found that 108 practices were used in clusters or groups that the authors were able to organize into distinct toolsets. So these toolsets can assist project managers in adapting their focus without addressing all 108 practices individually. So this is really important because Bestner and Hobbes found significantly different and contrasting patterns of practice among the four types of projects examined in the study. Okay. Now let's look into project uncertainty. So each of the project classification approaches described above attempts to address the interaction between complexity and uncertainty this interaction has on project management practice. So after you study this, it should be clear that not all projects are alike, and therefore there is no size fits all approach to managing them. Okay, so when you implement a project class in a even if it's the same, okay, if you're building a house, for example, in this location, and you build the same exact model in another location, those locations would have different topographies. Sometimes the climate may also differ. The neighborhood may also differ. So therefore, the management system you're going to use would also be different because one project location would mean that uh, that meaning means that could mean that that place could be farther away from the resources that you're going to need for the project. Project location is closer to the resources that you're going to need, so it's going to affect the project. Okay? So there's no one size fits approach in managing projects. So uncertainty exists about many aspects of a project. So will we have the necessary resources at the time they are needed? So it's important, class, to consider the resources also. So for example, in a construction project, are the rebars, will the rebars be available by the time that you're going to need them at the site? Okay, will the sand and gravel be available when you need them? Okay, so you these are the things that you must understand and try to manage and handle. So will we be able to get the assigned team members committed to the project? Okay, so as a project manager, class, you have to make sure that the members of your team, they will be committed to do the work. So will the resources have the required expertise? Then will key stakeholders approve of the work we do? Then will we be able to get assigned team members committed to the project? Will the weather cooperate? So I think I repeated the last one. Sorry for that. Will the weather cooperate? Will the labor union cooperate with us or threaten a strike? So will cultural differences create problems? So the last question, class, this is particularly true when you're doing a project with multicultural groups involved. Okay? So in international projects, there's personalities. Maybe there might be some cultural differences between your team members. So if there's conflict, your project might be affected also. So those are the things that you must learn how to manage. Risk create uncertainties. Managing risk and uncertainty are major aspects of successful project management. So, Lecter, Eddington, and Gao summarize the need to address uncertainty in acknowledging. So, by virtue of their unique nature, projects are mired in uncertainty. So, the authors discuss the differences between unknowns and uncertainty, unknown unknowns. So, the authors define these unknown unknowns as unforeseeable project situations that do not necessarily lead to negative consequences. So the focus of their study is on demonstrating the importance of becoming sensitive to the opportunities presented by uncertainties experienced during project implementation. So the study examined 5 categories of opportunities using an explorative case study approach involving 20 projects representing 8 project types. So develop ITIS projects, construction projects, R&D projects, business realignment projects, clinical trial projects, market penetration models, and feasibility study. So the article describes 6 categories of unknown unknowns encountered encountered in the case study. So the following categories of opportunities arising from uncertainties were examined in depth. So you have technology opportunity, implementation process opportunity, project business opportunity, future project business opportunity. So the authors conclude identify opportunities and the uncertainties, project managers need significant exposure to the project's business context. It is exactly that exposure that this program emphasizes throughout each of the modules to prepare project managers to become strategic players in providing business value. Okay, so this is our lesson for week 2 class. This is the key concept for this week. So, I'll be posting our activity related to this lecture in our group page and in Newstep. If you have any further questions or clarifications, feel free to contact me anytime. Okay, so I hope you stay safe and see you next meeting.